What is up, boys? My name is Berate, and recently in my Discord server, I had this discussion with one of my members. So I had a person in my Discord server essentially ask me what was holding him back. Now, after looking at his tracker and looking at his rank, I came to the conclusion that he should just stick to one agent and one trick them. That's what prompted this video. Now, this entire video is going to essentially be going over why it is better for you to Instalock and to essentially main one agent and learn every trick about them rather than learning a little bit about a lot of agents. Well, let's get into it. So my first point when tackling this subject does stem from watching a lot of people one trick their agents. If you think of people like Dr. Freeze, people like Flexinja on Omen, or people like Boney on Deadlock, or people like Ziptie on Yoru, or people like Grumpy and Temid on Neon, you look at these one tricks and they seem to be absolutely cutting through their ranked lobbies with absolute ease, and it just comes second nature to them. Then when you try and copy what they do in your games, you kind of fall flat on your face. And the reason being is they just have more experience on the agent than you. Now, looking at them and saying, oh, well, they're just them, they're just better, isn't really a good thing to go off of, and let me prove it. Let's take a look at one of the best Neon players. This is his tracker. His name is Grumpy on Val. Needless to say, he's pretty good at Neon. Now, it seems as if he has a couple of extra hours on a couple of other agents rather than Neon, but take a guess on how many hours he had to pump into just Neon alone to get as good as he is today. Couple hundred? Maybe 500? 1,203 hours played with Neon, over 2,000 matches of competitive. That is a lot of time. 1,203 hours equates to about 50 days straight of just playing Neon in ranked. And that doesn't account for the time that he used to practice the character. This isn't unrated. This isn't any TDMs. This isn't Swift play. This is just in competitive alone. Not to mention the amount of times he would probably have to spend in the practice range and also in death matches and also just in custom games to lab out all of his tech, all of his lineups. Just competitive hours alone, plus all of that, realistically, he's about 2,000 hours in. Let's take a look at Ziptie now, arguably one of the best Yoru players out there. How many hours do you think he has on Yoru? Well, Grumpy has roughly 1,000 hours on Neon. This guy has 2,185 hours on Yoru, 3,905 matches played. That is absolutely insane. With this, my point is proven that it does take a lot of time to master a certain agent to the extent that these professional and Radiant players can get to. And I guarantee you these players haven't gotten there by just learning a lot of agents. No, they picked one agent and they specialized in that one agent. And that is sort of the crux of my argument, is if you want to improve at the game quickly and efficiently, you need to pick one agent and stick to them forever. Now, if you want to know some good agents to pick, I do have a tier list on my channel going over every agent in the game and their solo queue competitive viability. But realistically speaking, if you pick any agent and you get really, really good at them, you will be fine. But Berate, how am I gonna understand how to do other playstyles if I'm only sticking to one agent? I'm gonna get to that. So sort of my second point here on why you should stick to one agent is you don't need to know a lot of playstyles. Now, it is good to understand a lot of playstyles so that you can know how to counter them, so you can recognize patterns in the enemy's gameplay, etc. However, it is not good to learn and master a bunch of playstyles for yourself, because as you are spending time developing one playstyle, other playstyles will sort of start to take on the flavor of those other playstyles, contaminating them and thus making them suboptimal. Now, if you are a professional player, especially if you are a flex player, you're going to need to master a lot of playstyles. That's fine. If your name is John QT, you can do that as much as you want. But if you are not a professional player who needs to do that or has the capability to do that, it is not a good idea. The more you play an agent, the less you rely on luck or on improvisation. So imagine for a second that you have the read on B long of Bind that they are going to be 3-man rushing B and you want to get a free kill. If you're playing Chamber, this is how you may tackle this. You may set up a teleport, get ready on an off angle early into the round, and play to get one and leave. This is the way that Chamber would do it. However, this is a Chamber specific strategy, and unless you play Chamber, you wouldn't know that this is good. Another option that is very similar to this is with Jett. Now, Jett does have a dash, but Jett's dash doesn't last forever. So Jett has to be in those situations where if she wants to go for a kill, she has to swing, get one, and try and dash away. Chamber doesn't have that issue. He can sit on this angle all day long, and whenever he wants to get out, he can. So this is how you'd optimally play this with Chamber. Now, if you're playing a character without a Get Agile free card entirely, let's say you're playing Phoenix, for example, then you would want to most likely wait for footsteps, throw a flash, swing, and then unswing. That's how you'd want to play that with Phoenix. It is a polar opposite to any other strategy that you would be doing with any other agent, and the only way that you would know this is if you truly understand how to play that specific agent, and the only way to get that level of understanding is by playing a lot of that agent. Another very practical example of this is I pride myself as being an Omen player. Although I have played a lot less of him, I have easily racked up about 2,000 hours on Omen. I have sort of this uncanny ability when I am playing games to sort of predict the future down to a second. I count down the things that the enemies are going to do down to the second, and I do it pretty accurately. I'll be like, oh, he's going to flash this in 3, 2, 1. And the reason why I can do that is because I've noticed patterns in the enemy's gameplay and what people normally do in response to what I do, because generally I'm playing Omen. However, I still don't know everything there is to know about the character. I, to this day, am still learning new tech and new strategies with Omen that I would have never even dreamt of before, even a week ago. If I were to hop on an agent like KO, I am not going to be able to do that because I just don't have enough time on the agent to know how they're going to react to my utility, react to my movement, etc. You want to know your character enough so that you don't make mistakes. And you can't do that if you're playing a lot of agents at the same time. You don't need to spend hours learning lineups or attack setups or defense setups on multiple agents if you just focus on all of them for one, except Reyna, but Reyna is the only exception to this rule. Now, another myth is, oh, well, I just want to be a flex role. Most VCT quote-unquote flex players at most specialize in 1 to 2 agents or 1 to 2 roles. So oftentimes you'll get someone playing Cypher and Killjoy, because Cypher and Killjoy do play very similarly. So oftentimes you'll get a pro playing Sentinel, which is like Cypher and Killjoy, which is like lockdown sentinels, and they'll also play smokes like Omen. But these professional players who quote unquote flex only specialize in 1 to 2 roles. My point being, the reason why you're not ranking up is because you don't know one agent well enough. But Berate, what if my team composition's terrible if I'm insta-locking my main all the time? You don't need to overthink your team composition in solo queue ranked, and I cannot make this clear enough. In solo queue ranked, just doing your job isn't enough. You need to be the sole reason why your team is winning. You can't just be quote-unquote doing your job. And in order to do that, you need to be flexible. And the only way you can be flexible is not flexing to a bunch of different agents. It's using the agent that you're good at to flex to other roles that your agent can fill. For example, when I am playing Omen, there is a lot of roles that I could be filling. First off is standard controller role. Let's say I got a pretty balanced team. My duelists are entering, my initiators are helping my duelists, my sentinel has tripped flank, and my only job is to smoke. Perfect, hunky-dory and dandy. I'm gonna throw my smokes, I'm gonna probably blind for my duelist, and I'm just gonna play to trade my initiators and, you know, trade my smokes, but mainly just trade my smokes. No, trade my initiators, trade my duelist, and mainly just stay back and play to spam the bomb. That's fine, that's perfect. However, what if I don't have a well-balanced team? Well, since I have a lot of hours on Omen, I have a set play for that exact scenario, in which case I will smoke on top of truck, I will smoke right here, I'll teleport into the truck smoke while faking this teleport right here. So I teleport on top of this truck, I'm in the smoke here, and then what I do is I wait and I listen to make sure CT's clear, and then I teleport into this corner right here, and I wait. I, you know, kill anyone backside, and I wait to get some space here, and then I play here to hold off rotations, or if I know that nobody's rotating, I go and I take heaven control for my team. I have essentially just played my duelist role on my controller, and this is why I think Omen is the best agent in the game for solo queue, because he can do all this, but every agent in the game has some level of flexibility. Even Reyna does. However, what if I have no sentinel that's watching flank? That's perfect. I can still do my job. You know, I can smoke for my team,
cover going out,
I can blind for my team, and I can sit here on an off angle and watch flank and wait for post plan. Simple as that. The only ways that I would be able to do this with this amount of set play and this amount of knowledge of the game is if I am solely sticking to playing Omen. But Berate, my teammates get mad at me if I instalock duelist. My teammates get so mad at me. Use your performance to shut them up. If you are really, really good at a character and you are the reason why your team is winning, they will have no reason to flame you. Use your performance to shut them up. If you are confident in your agent, you don't need to worry about the social aspect of it. Now, obviously, there are some agents that just don't work on some maps. Namely, Omen on Breeze is not a good idea 99% of the time, just because of the fact that Viper is just the better controller on Breeze. However, I have seen people use Brimstone on Breeze and carry, specifically Parry 2N. And he insta-locked Brimstone on every map, including Breeze, including Lotus, including Icebox, Brim on every single map, and he carries, he cooks. The reason being, he knows his agent back and front. So yes, you need to understand when your agent isn't ideal, but just know that you can make it work. Now, what if you are completely itching to play any other agent? You're just so tired of your agent. Stick within the same role. If you're playing Jet, play Raze, or something similar to Jet, where you're hard entry, don't be picking up like Cypher or something. That's just super counterintuitive. Just stick with your main role. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope I've made my point clear. If I haven't, please feel free to ask any questions in the comment section. I do read every single comment under my videos, and if you have any questions that I know the answer to, I will do my best to provide them. Tell me in the comments, what's your main? And do you actually think flexing is better? Am I completely wrong? Let me know in the comments. This has been Berate. Remember to brush your teeth today, because I know for a fact I haven't.